But there's a sound and tone underneath all of that can also project a certain result, I guess, or behavior or inactions in someone. So that's why I tell people, don't pay so much attention to the words per se, what people are saying to you, because a lot of the words that we use have lost value. Okay, they do not resonate properly. Okay, there's some issues with the sounds and the tones of it, because the sounds and the tones are factors, and I say the sounds and the tones make all the difference.
Welcome to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Love is spoken here, with your host and guide, Msmichellecarithers.
Morning, everybody. Evolution of the Consciousness. Love is spoken here. I'm msmichellecarithers. I'm glad you can come along with me on this journey, on this ride, on this January the 20th, 2024, on a Saturday. You know, I've been thinking a lot, and I always usually do, but I'm sensing a lot of things happening throughout everywhere, all over the world. And, I told you about rumination. I tell a lot of you to avoid rumination until you know exactly what it means to think properly, and make sure you have the right mode of thinking so that you don't sabotage yourself anymore. Because, too much of a good thing does what? Does cause problems. And thus, that's where we are. We've indulged ourselves over space and time, 100 years, thousand years, maybe a million years of overindulging in activities which have caused us to become more so inhumane versus being just genuine human beings in the true sense. And not human beings. Human beings. And I'm laughing to myself because someone put out a post about human beings, BEANS. And that's probably more likely sometimes how we're acting. We're not acting like beings, BEINGS, but more like beings, BEANS. Something to consider. So that's why it's so important about the words and the sounds and the tones that come out of you. We all are going to make mistakes now as we are attempting to enunciate, pronounce. But there's a sound and tone underneath all of that can also project a certain result, I guess, or behavior or inactions in someone. So that's why I tell people, don't pay so much attention to the words per se, what people are saying to you, because a lot of the words that we use have lost value. Okay, they do not resonate properly. Okay, there's some issues with the sounds and the tones of it, because the sounds and the tones are factors, and I say the sounds and the tones make all the difference in the world. Okay, and what does that mean? Well, because I sense as well that energy is sound. Energy is sounds and tones. All of that sort of they all come together. They rely on each other, quote unquote. They're like one. They're the connection. And so we call it on this planet, we call it energy. Okay, we call it energy, and then we'll call it sound, and then we'll call it tone, and we'll call it spirit. All of it is all actually the same thing. But sometimes you have to kind of split up meanings of things just so everyone can understand. Because you do have to know someone's modality so that you can properly give them information so that because some things just really, really, literally, figuratively, metaphorically, just go over someone's head. In other words, they're not understanding you. Okay, and that's the most important thing, is to be understood. Okay, and be mindful of the fact of the type of people that are listening to you, resonating with you, support you, love you, care for you, all those kind of things. You still want to be understanding, and you want to make sure you are clear and effective. And that's the whole idea with me. Yes, I mispronounce words. I make mistakes with pronunciation, enunciation. That's fine. I'm telling you, we have this innate ability, if we were to snap out of it, to be able to resonate with the sounds and tones, regardless of what anyone is saying. Understand me there. I told you about the contradictions with our thoughts and with our words, thus our behaviors and actions, and why there's always a contradiction there, and why there will continue to be a contradiction, because you need contradictions to learn. Contradictions are an ability to learn, and build on yourself and constantly direct yourself properly. This is a ongoing process forever, especially in our physical human form. And then once, other factors are considered. So the answers are in the sounds and tones. Okay, the answers are in the sounds and tones. So, for example, I'm going to use this term that is on the minds of many, on the minds of millions, because of, the fact that we're in a political season. Certain things just seem to start conjuring up, and it's a lot of it is all manipulation, indoctrination. Where we have certain entities, which are usually hidden hands, running the show, and they are in charge, actually. And listen to what I said, they're in charge. What does charge mean to you? Okay, that's like a spark. It's like, an impulse. It's like a steindeletosis, which just means it's just like a spark. It's like a connection. So the same kind of sounds and tones are going to be running throughout. I mean, they always have been running in the background. Okay, the hidden hands in the background, the hidden agendas. You know, nothing is hidden, by the way, but they are out of our sight, because sometimes we don't rely on all of our modalities, all of our sensing, all of our thinking modes, and such. I mean, even though they are hidden in a material value, possibly, but they're there. Okay, their sounds and tones are there, charging. They're in charging all of us. So a lot of people, around this time, have a lot of expectations too, which is kind of is sad at the same time, because you know what have been the results. And so I'll allow each individual to answer that for themselves. you know this is about putting out knowledge, helping each other, if that's your genuine intention, and realizing, you can't fool your consciousness. Okay, you cannot believe that you are making one impact when you know in your thoughts you have another agenda running unconscious, on autopilot. And so, under the best circumstances, some people are pretty harsh on themselves, because they figure, well, gosh, like I said, a lot of people make these resolutions during the beginning of the year, that they're going to do this or that and the other. And before you know it, you know, they've already failed, so to speak, and I say be gentle about that. Be kind. You're not going to necessarily tell yourself certain things that you're going to do without proper thoughts about it, and more importantly, pay attention to your behavior and action. When you have a certain behavior and action, see if you can figure out before that behavior and action, what the hell were you thinking about? And that's where you're going to find that there's a disconnect sometimes with a lot of people are just unconscious in their thoughts. They're just allowing them to run autopilot and they don't realize that they are contradicting. And then a certain behavior comes forward and they get upset and angry and harmful sometimes to themselves because they figure, gosh, I thought I was over this. I thought I was done with this. Blah 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 blah. So it is something that's extremely deep and requires a different mode of thinking. Number one, and it's you know even the best teachers in the world or the best whatever you want to label people can only do so much. Okay, the answers are within. The answers are within you, and a lot of us are going to really, really need to get a hold of our thoughts because I sense a lot of melancholy all over the place. I sense that energy, because everything's energy. We're all energy, made of atoms and energy, all of that. We're all energy. So I'm picking up the energy of melancholy, where people are saying it literally that they're tired. Okay. And that's something going on inside of you. Because you hear people say it all the time. you know, they're sitting in there like I knew people um that I was having conversations with, and during the I'll see them during the morning, and they're sitting on their couch and they're kind of in a mood, and I can pick that stuff up. Oh, and I do everything in my power to get away from that because it's draining. To be around someone in melancholy is draining. Okay, so anyway, I remember meeting someone, and I remember this person. I was just sitting down, attempting to, just having a conversation with them. I wasn't too, not necessarily so much focused on them. I was just, getting myself. I think I stayed over to their place because some reason I had to stay over, and so I was getting dressed, getting ready to go to work, and this person is, sitting there and draining my energy that early in the morning. But anyway, they were sitting there talking about, okay, what they're going to do today. And I'll be encouraging to you if that's what you're saying, but I knew that's not what she was thinking. I knew that they were going to do this morning. They're going to, they had all this fake well, it was like a fake motivation that they want to do this and that and the other. Okay, cool, do blah blah blah. As far as I'm concerned, I left there during the morning, and then when I came back, almost 12 hours later or more, it's actually 12 hours, 12, I mean, more than 12 hours later, that person was still sitting on the couch in the same position, doing the same thing, on the web, surfing, because they were supposedly looking for a job, looking for this or that and the other. So, again, if you just pay attention to people, their behaviors and actions will tell you exactly, in most cases, what's necessarily going on, but then a lot of them are sophisticated too. As I said, they have this sophisticated way of lying and being deceptive and manipulative. But then a lot of them actually are on autopilot. They're unconscious and they don't realize what's going on in their thoughts. So there's a lot of words is what I'm attempting to say that will uh, activate certain behaviors in people. You know, so when you say tired, oh my gosh, you know how much charge that is? That has a lot of charge to it. So that means you need to immediately, kind of, cancel some of your plans, cancel some of your responsibilities, and get a hold of that before it goes into depression or something more so, some kind of self-harm, you know. So, and these are my theories and opinions, by the way. If you are under the care of some type of therapist and this and that, listen to your therapist. I would say listen to yourself, but look, I need to know that there's a lot of people looking to blame people for their conditions in their lives. They want to blame people for why they are poor, why they can't find a job, why they can't find a friends, and why they cannot find a partner. You know, a lot of people are blaming people because they can't. Those kind of things are not coming together for them. Instead of realizing that's what your thoughts are generating. Your thoughts are generating all of that and generating your results. Okay. Not, and I said something also the other day, a lot of people just do not want to say no to people. you know, say no. But you have to know that you need to say no. You need to know why you need to say no to people sometimes. You can't handle everything. That's insanity, and that's almost you're sending yourself to an early grave, believing, because it's a belief that you can do everything. I like reaching out to people that I have an alignment to, and I know exactly who they are, and I hope they do as well. In other words, if you are having some type of interaction with me in whatever form it is, okay, you know, there's connection there. Now, what it the results of that, ought to speak for themselves. So just pay attention to the sounds and tones. I'm going to keep talking about that. Talk about sounds and tones, because that's where the answers are actually. Okay, there's a reason why we are encased in negativity. It's the energy and the sounds and tones of our thoughts. Okay, and actually, I said this in a video a long time ago. There are other human beings outside of our soul system. Okay, billions of them, billions and billions and billions, all over stars and moon and mountains. There's human beings. There's life. Okay, and during a certain period of time, on a monthly basis, there are other planets and other worlds of human beings that are attempting to assist us, whether you want to accept it or not. It's irrelevant whether you do or not. Okay, a lot of us are acting so immature in our behaviors and actions. Whether it doesn't matter how old you are either. Okay, and what they do is it's called a peace meditation, and what they're doing with all of their might is to help to neutralize this encasement of negativity, because this encasement of negativity is, in my opinion, nothing more, nothing less than a self-created man-made black hole that we cannot get out. Physically, we cannot get out of here. Okay. And a lot of people are under the delusion about, how people get to us. Well, they get to us in spaceships, just like you get somewhere in a vehicle or train, automobile, airplane. If you can understand the concept of airplane, then it ought to be easy to understand the concept of advanced technology such as spaceships, but I'm taking this, where I know my listeners, the ones that support me, understand what I'm talking about. And I want to still send some love to you, those of you that are silently supporting me, because I know you're in all walks of life. You're in all walks of jobs. You have all walks of responsibility. You know what you have to do, which may be contradiction to some, but you have a purpose. You have an intention, and you may have to say certain words that may be taboo. You may have to act a certain way that may be taboo. That you may have to do a lot of not necessarily pretending, not necessarily performing, but taking necessary actions so that you are safe, your family is safe, because you know the energy that you're dealing with. You know the energy that you're working with. I told you about the chlorics, which are evolution gaslighting, evolution of psychopaths, sociopaths, evolution of psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissistic. Okay, clerics, uh, if if um, if left to their own devices, can be deadly. Okay, to those around them and deadly to themselves. So do not dismiss the importance of what I mean by, that everything evolves, whether it's good, bad, or the other. Okay, evil intentions evolve as well, and that's why I say evil intentions are patient as well. You know, evil is patient, just as anything else, but we seem to, because of our extremism, because we're so extreme and so fanatical, we resonate to the sound of negativity more so than anything else. And we're unconscious about it. Thus, we allow it to grow. We allow it to be fortified, especially when we don't challenge things. Like I put a post out, which is true. If you take the time in a safe place, in a safe environment, to challenge your beliefs, you may be laughing uncontrollably. Trust me, when you realize, what the fuck was I thinking? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a little bits and pieces of things that I'm contemplating, cultivating, meditating, properly meditating, properly ruminating. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my Saturday started. I didn't put on no coffee because I don't want no cold coffee in my presence. So I'm gonna have my coffee, have me something to eat, enjoy my Saturday. The temperatures seem to be. I'm not even sure about the temperatures because it definitely doesn't feel as cold as it has been the last week or so. So it may be in the 50s, 60s, or something like that. I'll check it out later. But I just want to go ahead and send out peace and love, and I'd like, again, to the people that silently support me, I sense and receive your love, your universal love, and it fuels me. It does give me the fuel that I need, the spark I need, to because it can be daunting, of course. We're all dealing with something. We all have things that we need to resolve. So it's nice to know that we are connected. And I'm gonna come back. I'll probably put a video on again and talk about the 144s, the group of 144,000 people, which has which is possibly in the millions or possibly less than that, and which is irrelevant. And in other words, some of us are going to come back together again, even though we may have split it off in our own, you know, chosen direction. You can be chosen. Chosen is a behavior, actually, right? Behavior and action. Think about it. To do something, I mean, do something. If you're going to say you're chosen, that means you're doing something. But there are some of us that are of like mindedness that have a certain mission or certain responsibilities, and we're going to come back together again. And I'll talk about that a little later and what that means. In other words, we split it off. We completed certain missions. We completed certain tasks. We know we are now at a culmination. And so a lot of us are going to kind of start resonating back together in a circular fashion of a collectiveness, so to speak. In other words, we're gonna be together, and I'll explain a little bit more about that at a later date. Thus, what I mean is that we pick up each other's sounds and tones, regardless of what job you have, whether you are president, vice president, whether you are uh, work in manufacturing, whether you work as an engineer in science, all of those kind of factors, are going to bring us all back to respectability, and at the same time bring us back respectably together. Okay, so don't worry about that. If it doesn't resonate now, it will. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains. Universal love, spread it. Evolution of the consciousness. Love is spoken here. I'm Michelle Carithers.
Thank you so much for listening to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Please make sure to leave us a review. If you wish to ask a question to Michelle, you can leave her an email at msmichellecarithers@gmail.com.